Hey, this is Matt Ertz, the Madison County Historian. We are continuing our interview series today. We're really lucky to have Monica Chamberlain, a sixth grade teacher at the Hamilton Central School District. Monica, thanks for joining us. Could you talk a little bit about the process? You know, March 11th is kind of the day for a lot of people. A whole bunch of stuff happened, and within about a week, most of the schools had closed. Can you talk about when you guys started to realize something might be changing and the school district started to make up a little bit?
Sure. For us, it was probably, as in any school, the chatter kind of started with kids. You know, the kids were hearing things and, they were chattering about, oh, schools are going to be done and we're not going to have to go. And we kind of quickly squashed all of that. And our administrators were really great. They handled it, I thought, very well. They gathered us all together and basically just told all of us at once. We immediately began the social distancing. We kind of all sat apart from each other. And, we were told that there was some talk of us going on an extended closure. And at that point, it was talking only about going till after April break, that after April break, we would be coming back to school. So at first they were telling us it would be an extended closure of about 4 weeks, I think is what they were telling us at that point. That was a bit of a shock. I had actually walked into the meeting a little bit late because I had a basketball meeting that was happening simultaneously. And I was like, well, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I'm sure I can catch up with whatever they're going to tell me about this a little later. When I walked in, I literally walked into the auditorium at the time where they were saying that the building would be closed for 4 weeks. And I just kind of stopped in my steps and was like, 4 weeks, what? From there, they had already devised a really great plan as to how we were going to get started with all of this. So the very next day, let me back up just a smidge. That day, we had sent out surveys. We had contacted every single family in our district, whether it was through email or phone call, to find out what was the internet status. Do you have internet? Do you not have internet? Do you need a device? All of those things, so that we knew who needed to get a computer, who had internet. We were very lucky. Colgate University donated quite a few hotspots, so we were able to get those out to families that didn't have internet access. But we started with everything was in hard copy. And if you can imagine, I only have 45 students. And on a day-to-day basis, when I say 45, that sounds like a lot. But the next couple of days, every teacher in the building had to copy all of their assignments for all of their classes for the next 2 weeks. They were telling us to get hard copies for at least 2 weeks. So people were camped out by the copier. Me and 4 of my friends, we spent 4 hours just waiting in line for the copier. My one friend who was a PE teacher, she had to make like 275 copies of one packet. So that in itself was a little crazy, of just sitting and watching people get in these huge giant lines, almost like a concert, like staking out to get tickets. To get our folders ready. And we had a folder ready for every single child in our district, pre-K through 12th grade. To get the folders out, it was not mandatory. It was whoever wanted to come in on that day. I forget the actual date. But a bunch of us went in and we delivered all of the folders to all of the students. We had an assembly line. Cars came in the bus route. Somebody would come in, they would radio into our building and say, so-and-so family is here. We'd get all their materials, their computers, everything. We'd go to their lockers, clean their lockers out if they needed to. We were trying to limit people coming into the building to get things. We got them their folders. The plan was to get them started for 2 weeks, and that we were going to get home and see where we go from there. And it was going to be a little bit of trial and error as the district tried to figure out, where do we go from here if this thing should continue further. And that was not something that was ever said in front of any of the students. we were telling all of the families and the students that it would be, we'll see you after April break. I personally went in and I bagged up quite a bit of my classroom because I just had this inkling that it was going to be longer and I wanted to be prepared and have things at home so that I could teach from home. Shortly after that, it was really kind of amazing, just like what you see in the news with sort of humanity, just kind of everybody doing these really great, wonderful things. All of my colleagues, we just jumped into gear, and it was just, okay, this is our home office. A lot of us have children. I myself have a 2-year-old and another one on the way. And so I was like, how do I deal with him and still get all of my work done? And so it just became a full process of, let's figure this out. And that was sort of stage one.
So getting in along those lines, you kind of guys get going. When did you realize this is going to be extended? This is going to be a while. What do we do now?
We had, again, our administrators were wonderful. And one of our administrators is brand new this year. He was one of our high school science teachers, and he just took the high school principalship this year. And he's been amazing. He really just jumped into gear and was like, I need to support you guys. And there were quite a few of us that were asking at faculty meetings and at department meetings, like, how much longer is this going to go on? And they were really good about not speculating. They didn't tell us anything unless they had an absolute fact behind it. They're like, well, it's only going to go till here, but if we go further, here's the process we're going to take. So they always had like that plan B in their back pocket, but they never had us worrying if we didn't need to worry. But it wasn't far into being home that, it was like, okay, we're going to extend it. And I think the first extension was like April 30th is when we're going to go back. And then it got pushed again. And now it's May 15th. And, now it's sort of, we don't know. Are we going to go back? If we do go back, how do we go back? What's the process of going back? I hope we do. I miss my kids so much. I get really emotional when I have live classes and see their faces. I hope we go back, but if we do, it's going to be a process.
With that in mind, you referenced there, talk a little bit. So they go home the first couple of weeks with paper packets, and you guys have kind of switched to, you're now doing like in classroom settings, kind of like what we're doing today over the internet. How has that gone? How have the kids adapted, and how are you guys kind of adapting in this literally ever-changing time?
It's difficult for sure. I am learning a lot of new technology on the fly. I am doing a lot of trial and error. One of the great things about kids in general is they're way more tech savvy than I'll ever be, probably. And so a lot of times, I'll do something and I'll go, guys, I'm trying to do this. And they're like, oh, hang on a second. Like, we can show you how to do that. So it's been kind of cool that way to have them sort of teach me little things. But for my 6th graders, I honestly think the digital aspect is much easier because with the folders, everything being hard copy, we were still asking kids to turn work in. And all of our online platforms for grading, it's just that, it's online. So they were having to do the work on paper, find some device, a phone, something to take a picture of it, and then attach it and then upload it. And it became this giant jumbled multi-step problem just to turn in 5 problems. And so I think what was happening was, you have families who are just trying to figure this out and stay afloat, just like all of us. You have kids that their first thought is, woohoo, school is done. I don't have to do this. This step-by-step process of just trying to turn your work in. And so I really quickly reached out to all of my kids because I was noticing, like even my higher achieving kids were just not turning anything in. And, I said, guys, like, what's going on? Like, are you okay? Are you overwhelmed? And they were like, we just can't, it's too much. And so I have just taken the approach that everything is digital. And with our platform, if I attach the assignment, all they have to do is type on it and then it's done. There's no picture, there's no attaching. And now I have like almost 100% homework completion from almost all my classes. A couple of kids I still kind of have to tag behind a little bit, but our kids are used to digital. We are a one-to-one school district, so they're very familiar. So I really think the hardest part, and what I have gotten from feedback from my kids, is not necessarily the digital aspect of it and the turning stuff in and working on a computer. The hardest part is they can't see anyone. You know, they can't see me, they can't ask me questions as easily, and they can't see their friends. And that's really hard, especially for sixth graders that are going through so much.
Do you have anything to say to parents right now that are struggling, and not even necessarily yours? There's parents across Madison County, across the country, that are adapting and struggling. Is there any advice you have for them?
I would just say, like, hang in there, you know, and we've just asked our parents to be forthcoming with information. If you're lost, let us know you're lost. We can accommodate you. We can change things. We can make it easier. We do not want to stress people out. I'm a parent. I have a 2-year-old. No, we're not doing schooling, but, you know, just balancing, and you have to do what's right for you. You know, school is important, and I'm not going to sit here and say it's not, because that's my job and I hold it very near and dear to my heart. But at the end of the day, you have to do what's right for your family and for yourselves during this time, because it's a stressful time and there's a lot going on, and we just want everybody to be happy and healthy and get outside and get exercise and do schoolwork. So you have to just do what's good for you and your family. Like 2-year-old.
Thank you so much for what you're doing. Please thank all the teachers that are in this time, like everyone, adapting. Much like you, I am not the most technologically advanced person, and I'm doing all this as well. And we're putting together different things. So please, thank you for everything, and thank all your coworkers. We hope to see you in a classroom setting soon.
Me too.
And stay safe.
Thank you. You as well.
All right. We will be talking to you soon.
Thank you.